guys, it's Jalyn back again with another segment on the fruit of the Spirit and how it can help you achieve purpose and enjoy your life. And as a reminder, the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, and self-control. Against such, there is no law. And today I am actually going to be sharing with you all some highlights from my recent book release. So if you have been following me on social media, you know that not only do I talk about the fruit of the Spirit on these YouTube videos, I have also written a book titled The Fruit of Your Spirit, which talks about how you can apply these 9 principles to your life so you can create the life that you actually deserve, a life worth living. So I hope you enjoy the video. I hope you enjoy the highlights from the book release party. It was an amazing event. I was so excited to share this momentous occasion with everyone, and I'm here to share it with you all as well. You can get the book on Amazon.com. I will make sure all the information is written in the notes below, and enjoy the highlights, and I will be back with you again next week. Take care.
Your spirit. I'm talking about you allowing that transformation to take place within, so that you have the power, you have the strength, you have the courage, you have the resources and the tools that you need to bear good fruit in this world and share that with other people and be a light to someone else. So when you talk about the fruit of your spirit, that's your purpose. Okay, when you talk about the fruit of your spirit, those are the relationships that you build. That's the impact that you make. That's the legacy you leave here on this earth. So it's important because you're going to bear fruit one way or the other. It's going to be good or it's going to be bad, depending on what's in your spirit, right? Okay? So you've got to decide whether or not you're bearing good fruit or you're bearing bad fruit. And it can look good on the outside. The fruit can even look good on the outside, but there are times when you cut beneath the surface and you find out it's not good. You find out, this is starting to rot from the inside out. We need to throw this piece away. We need to get something new, because the fruit, it looks great on the outside, but something is off on the inside. And that's exactly where I was when I wrote this book. I was 25 years old when I wrote this book. I'm 31 now. I know my black don't crack. Hey. It's all good. But I was 25 when I started writing this book. As I said before, I stopped, I started, I stopped, I started, I learned, I grew along the way as well. Because when you start learning about this, when you start learning about love, you can't just preach that without learning something yourself. You've got to let that really grow inside of you before you start spreading that message to everyone else. But I was 25 at the time when I started writing it. And anyone who knew me at that time, they would think, hey, listen, life is looking pretty good for Jalyn. It looks like she's got some really good fruit going, some great fruit going on over there. And I'll just tell you a little bit about myself and why that was everyone's impression. So from a very early age, I grew up, I was extremely responsible, wise beyond my years. I was poised, I was focused from a very early age. I'm talking like 5. Like, people would say that, about me. They're like, whose little girl is that? So they would say that about me, and that was my nature, that was my personality, and I knew what I wanted, and I went after it. And I was a good girl, as Cecily mentioned, I graduated at the top of my class when I was in high school. My mother never had to worry about where I was at. She never gave me a curfew. I was at home with a good book. A good time for me was a blanket and a good book. That was just my personality. I was waiting for my mom to get home. Like, where are you at? I'm here. Where are you at right now? So she just never really had to worry about me. That doesn't mean that she didn't. She's a mother. She didn't have to worry that I was out in the streets doing all kinds of things or making bad decisions, because it wasn't my nature. I was extremely focused. And so I graduated at top of my class, and then of course, I went on to Cornell University. I did a really good job after college, making my very first salary was $55,000 a year, which was a lot more than any of my family members were making at the time. So everyone was looking to me as in yes, you're doing a really good job, and so I was traveling the world, and I didn't even as it pertains to drinking, like I took my first drink when I was 21. Like I was a law-abiding citizen. I took that stuff seriously. So I was just, it looked good, I was doing good things, I didn't do drugs, I wasn't promiscuous or anything like that. The very first time that I lost my virginity was my wedding night, to my husband at the time, and so I was good. Things looked good, but when I was 25 years old, right before I started writing this book, I knew that something was off. Something was not right, okay? Because I was laying in bed at night, laying next to my husband at the time, but I was looking at the holes that he had punched in the walls the night before from a huge argument that we had gotten into, okay? I was feeling the bruises and the welts form on my arms and on my neck and thinking about how I'm gonna cover this up before I go into work the next day. I was going into a job that was paying me very well. They were paying me extremely well, but I was halfway there, like I was checked out, I was just going through the motions when I was at my job. I had money in the bank, I had a lot of money in the bank, but my relationships were not as strong as they could possibly be. I kept a lot of people at arm's length, so when I'm laying there at 2 o'clock in the morning, I don't even have someone who I can think of to call, because and help me get through this circumstance, because I'm so used to being self-sufficient, so used to relying on I know I'm gonna call my cousin. And so, but I was used to being self-sufficient and relying on myself and being focused and being good and fitting the mold, and so and so this book came as a result of that. I was saying to God one night, what is happening here? Like, I feel so unfulfilled. I've got all these great things going on right now, but I feel so unfulfilled, so overwhelmed, so lost and exhausted, so my life is in shambles right now. What's happening? What's going on? And clear as day, I heard God say, honey, you haven't even started to live yet. You haven't even begun to live yet. You're talking about your life being in shambles. What life? You're not living. You're going through the motions. You're checking off all these boxes, but you're not even really experiencing life. I mean, yeah, you have a great career, but you're not really using the gifts that I placed inside of you. You're not writing. Like, I grew up writing. That's all I ever really, that's one of the major things that I wanted to do, one of them. But I stopped doing that. He was like, you're not using your gifts. You got this amazing career. You're not using your gifts. You went to Cornell University, but you were depressed all 4 years. And no one even knew it. You didn't even know it, except, looking back. You were severely depressed during that time period that you were at this amazing Ivy League institution. And yeah, you got married at 24, but now you're getting a divorce. So you make that connection there, So it's just a lot of, straight talk, no chaser with God sometimes. He'll just, tell you like it is. And basically was saying to me, listen, no judgment. Just facts. This is where you are right now, but you got to think about how you got there. It may seem like you're doing all the right things, but how are you doing it? Everything that you've tried to accomplish, everything that you've gone after, you either come from it from a place of fear or a place of anger. So I had a lot of fear in me. I had a lot of anger in me. There was so many different things that I was running away from, like in my childhood. And as a result of that, I accumulated all of this stuff. But on the inside, something was off. Something was not right? Does that make sense what I'm saying to you? And so I said, okay, God, well, if I've done all these things, if I haven't been doing it if I've been doing all these things the wrong way, what's the right way? What's the right way to do this? What's the right way to pursue purpose and to really experience a fulfilling life? And he was like, I'm so glad you asked. Let me direct you to Galatians 5, 22 through 23. And it talks about how the power of my love, when you let it take root in your life, the good fruit that comes out of that, you'll operate from a place of love. You'll be kind. You'll be patient. You'll be faithful, not just to the people in your life, but to the purpose that I placed inside of you. Okay? You'll have self-control. Anybody need a little bit more self-control in their life? Yeah, the fruit of the Spirit will do that for you, all right? If you embrace it, and you let that take root, just imagine where we would be if we had more self-control in our lives, So that is So he's telling me, Jalyn, this is the way. If you're going to do anything, this is the way you need to do it. You need to go in peace. You need to go in joy. You need to go in faithfulness. You need to go in kindness. You need to go in gentleness. That's my big thing. I will snap at somebody real quick. I'll snap their heads off if necessary. So gentleness is probably, out of all the fruit that I get reminded of on a regular basis, it's like, gentle, Jalyn. Easy. Ease into it. You know, you don't have to slap someone across the face with it all the time. Easy. So that is how, this book came about here. And this is all about our spiritual health. And when I'm talking about spiritual health, that's your core. And from your core, you can do all kinds of things. You know, when you're exercising, they talk about strengthening your core because it allows you to do so much more. It allows you to push yourself so much further when your core is strengthened. So that's what we're talking about here with the fruit of the Spirit. You know, we're talking about strengthening your core so you can achieve purpose, and not just achieve purpose, but enjoy life along the way. That is what matters here. You know, you can't, there's no point in going after all of these things. You can have all the material possessions in the world. You can have a fun love life. You can have drinks. You can have big hair. You can do whatever you want. But if you are not enjoying life along the way, what's the point? What's the point? You know? So that is where where this book came from. And I'm so excited to share that all with you. In this book, you'll hear about my own personal journey and my struggles with the fruit of the Spirit. As I said, it had to grow. You know, I don't just read it and then all of a sudden I'm a kind, gentle person. It had to grow within me. So you'll see and hear the growth in this book. So with that in mind, I'm actually going to read an excerpt from the book. Anybody interested in hearing a little bit about the book? Awesome. All right. So I'm going to read an excerpt from the book. And I had it bookmarked, but the book that I have that's bookmarked is clearly not up here. So give me one moment. I'm just going to find it. Okay. So this passage that I'm reading right now, it comes from the chapter on faithfulness. And I am going to be talking about my journey with faithfulness here. So here we go. In the past, I was a chronic daydreamer with an abundance of ideas, concepts, inventions, you name it. But I was gripped by fear, which prevented me from believing I was capable of success. Consequently, there were so many things I started and then stopped. My purpose became a prisoner of war to my lack of faith, and I was unable to see anything through to fruition. Who knows how many opportunities I walked away from because of this? Interestingly, everything about my personality spoke to the contrary. I normally had an insane sense of commitment to paying bills on time, meeting work deadlines, or even Googling something that piqued my interest earlier that day. Yet when it came to taking a leap of faith on something that God placed on my heart and sticking with it until it was completed, I followed the same cycle. Overanalyzed the situation until I gave myself a headache, started, and then abandoned it. That was my cycle. And this book was a perfect example. I remember sitting in prayer one night in 2013. Yep, 2013. It's 2018 right now, y'all. It took me a while to finish this book here. I remember sitting in prayer one night in 2013, and God asked me, God is talking to me right now, why isn't the book done yet? And I thought to myself, God, how rude of you to ask me that. How rude. God, I have so much going on right now. My friend hurt my feelings last night, so I have to deal with that. I need to respond to a few work emails before I go to bed. I need to Google the word calipigian and wiki the tawny frog mouth because I have never seen one of those. And most importantly, I need to find something to eat. Come on, I'm a busy woman. I've got a lot going on right now. But my excuses were no match for the truth. I eventually confessed that it wasn't finished because I spent most days drenched in fear of opening up the draft and daring to type one more word. I wasn't sure I had anything valuable to say. More precisely, I wasn't sure I was valuable. I so desperately wanted to craft the perfect words to create the perfect book written by the perfect and undeniably valuable author. And since I was not perfect yet, the book wasn't finished yet. Duh. Made sense to me. And God listened attentively to all my rambling and whining before he said, Jalyn, you know this is part of your purpose in life. You know you must finish this book. How will it be perfect if you never write it? You need to keep going, and I promise you, love will perfect it. So that, thank you. Yes, so that is just an example of what you will find in this book here, my own personal journey with the fruit of the Spirit, and how I finally got to a point where I stopped with the excuses and I let that transform me from within, and now you see this here today.
Yeah.
Yes. This is the fruit of my spirit here, sharing it all with you here today. So we're gonna spice things up a little bit. You know, I've been talking, but now I want to hear from you all. So I want a couple of volunteers, a few volunteers. Who isn't afraid to be in the hot seat? Hey, nice. Well, come on up. Let's give her a hand, everyone. All right.
Hi, my name is Michelle. I like long walks on the beach and hot men. Kidding.
Yes, all right. Well, I am so glad that you came up here today. So we're going to do something. In this jar that I have here, I've got each fruit of the Spirit written out on a stone, all right? So she's going to grab one. And then we're going to talk about, because, you know, the fruit of the Spirit, it's not just some ethereal, you know, in the clouds type of thing. Like, this is practical and applies to our lives, every area of our life, our career, our finances, our health, our relationships. You might know me, the Norma Success Coach, and we talk about that stuff. We talk about becoming the CEO of your life and taking ownership of your life. The fruit of the Spirit actually sets that foundation so you can do that. So, what I want you to do, take one. What does it say? Love. Love. Well, here's my question for you. Here is my question for you. How does love impact your career?
Well, if you're in the right career, you love it. And it's not a job, as we all say. If you love it, you're going to do a great job. So it should be easy. If you're in the right place, you'll love it.
Got it. All right, give her a hand. Very nice. And, excuse me.
So she just told you love and the fruit of the Spirit. She asked you how it impacted your career. Sometimes we fall in love of ourselves, love for other people, and it impacts our lives. We want to know, how does love affect your career? Yes.
Okay, so this is actually really interesting. So my whole career has been in accounting and audit. I'm 40. When I went to school, there weren't those tests to kind of tell you what your personality type is. So I'm the exact opposite of Jalyn. The book and the blanket, that doesn't do it for me. I want to be out like this, around a bunch of people. I love people. And I wish I knew that, because I would have never gone to school for accounting and gotten a degree in accounting and sit in a desk and, look at numbers and, right. So I did not love that. So it has taken me almost 20 years of working in audit. I progressively continued to move in my career to more things that I loved about the audit field. I ended up moving into roles that allowed me to interact more with people. So I moved from external audit to internal audit to compliance. I know it means nothing to any of you, but it does actually get me more in front of people. So I did that, and it was wonderful. And then I got laid off from SeaWorld, which a lot of people know. I worked at SeaWorld. I was director of compliance there, got laid off. So life happens, but everything for a reason. And that layoff caused me to go to my current employer, Robert Half, which is an accounting and finance staffing firm. And I went to them only because I was looking for my next job. And they said, you know what? You have a long career in accounting, and you like to go out and meet people. You should do business development for us. You should help bring in the business. I'm like, okay, so y'all want me to just go out and have lunch and dinner with people all the time? sprinkle a little accounting in there. I don't actually have to look at the financials. Holla. So yes. So I would say I love what I'm doing now a little bit more than what I did. So progressively I'm moving more towards a love in my career.
Thank you. You know what? That's why we have Cecily here. She's not going to let you just slide by. She's not going to let it. Now, you see, me, I've been trying to work more on my gentleness. So I just was like, okay, I'll let it go. But Cecily's here to back me up. And you know what? That's why we have each other. We can lean on one another and back each other and support each other when we need to. So I love it. All right. Who's next? Who's ready to be in the hot seat? Okay. Listen, you all, this is my cousin coming up here. You know, this is my cousin, Gianna. So she is here with me to support me. So, all right, so choose a fruit.
Fruit, let's go yellow.
Faithfulness. Okay. So let me ask you this question. How does faithfulness impact your health?
How does faithfulness impact your health? Well, I'm a personal trainer. And I'm also an accountant. No longer an accountant because my passion is personal training. But I think that faithfulness impacts your health because, as far as for me, clear that. For me, because I know that I have faith, obviously, as far as God is concerned. I'm real big on God, big time. And so I know that whatever I put in His hands, which my health I put in His hands, and obviously you have to do your part. You know, you can't sit around and think that the weight is going to come off, or the diabetes is going to go away, or the cholesterol is going to go down, and you continue to do what you do. So my faith as far as my health and my well-being is that I know that God is going to have my back as long as I have my back. And so I've been healthy. I'm 42. I feel like I'm 22. I have 3 children. One is 17. We train together. You know, I've been very blessed. My daughters are 5 and 7. And I'm steadily running around. I'm up here with a swollen ankle and I'm holding it down. So God is definitely what He does in my life. So, you know, with faith, everything is possible.
Amen. I love it. And so when we think about faithfulness, you know, sometimes people just hear that first part, faith, and they think, okay, faith in God. But no. Faithfulness is faith in motion, faith in action. You know, so when you're talking about being faithful to something or to someone, is there somebody out there? Oh, I saw her. I'm like, somebody will come get me. But faithfulness is faith in motion, you know. So you heard it right from her, like God's gonna do His part. God's got my back, but I've got to do. God has given me the ability to move. God has given me the capacity to make some things happen here on earth. He didn't just create robots, you know. He created people who can actually make some things happen and create this wonderful experience that we call life right now. And you've got to remain faithful to that. You can't give up and let it go because then it all falls apart. So faithfulness doesn't just apply to your man. Faithfulness applies to every area of your life, especially your health. Let's not neglect our health because that's what gives us the strength and the courage to continue pursuing our purpose in life. Yes? Awesome. All right. Who's next? Who wants to be in hot seat? We got one more. Okay. All right. Let me shake some things up in here. Choose a fruit. What's that say? Gentleness. All right. So here's my question for you. Oh, yes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Marlene Bonzo Justy, but you could call me MJ. So I'm pleased to be here.
Awesome. So with gentleness, how does gentleness impact your relationships?
much like yourself, I would say that has been an area for me that I've had to pray about and really cultivate along the way. I have a strong personality, just natural, that always come off as though I'm a type A type of person. So I tend to be not to give people enough opportunity, I guess, along the way to deal with foolishness. So that has been something, to be honest, we can talk openly. So to answer your question, I've had to just think first before I say certain things or before I act on certain things. So that way, whatever I say, whatever I aim to, of course, in a good place to help someone else, can be from an area that's a little bit more patient and a little bit more ease into it and gentle. So that's how I keep correlated to.
Nice. Yes. We're gonna make it. We're gonna get this gentleness thing down right. We're gonna make it. Yes, we will. You know what I found when I was studying gentleness. Oftentimes people are always fighting against something. I mean, you hear about the war on drugs. You hear about the war on black crime. I mean, you hear about the war on poverty. People are always fighting against something. But how long have we been warring against all those things? How long have we been warring against terrorism and poverty and all these things that we don't want? But if you use gentleness, if you employ gentleness in how you approach life, you'll find that it is just as effective as fighting against something. You don't always have to raise your fist, when you want something. A gentle approach, can be surprising and catch the other person off guard. And they're like, wait a minute. Well, let me listen to what you're saying here, because you're not attacking me right now. You're using gentleness to get your message across. Let me entertain that conversation and let's see what we can get over there. So you know what? We're gonna do one last one, and I am hoping I'm gonna let God lead right now. I feel it in my spirit. So we're gonna do one more. Who wants to come up? Come on. Yes. We got a diva coming up here, guys. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Tracy Phipps.
We got a Tracy fan club over there. Listen, Tracy, I'm just going to take a moment right now to celebrate my sisters. Tracy is just, when you talk about a woman of excellence and everything that she does and someone who is faithful to her purpose in life, you're looking at someone right here who has a kind heart and is just committed to sharing her gifts and her talents gently with the rest of this world. So she's great. All right, so we'll take out the ones that have already been used. So there's that. And now you choose one here. Be suspicious. Grab something else. Kindness. Got it. All right, so here's my question. Why are you walking away? It's too late now. You're up here. How does kindness impact, and feel free to take a moment to think, how does kindness impact your finances?
Tithes. Kindness impacts my finances, and I'm a believer in God as well. So I believe when you invest in the kingdom, you're investing in a heavenly currency, if that makes sense. So giving back to people without asking for something in return, whether it's money or it's your time. I think your time is also money, so I would give that as well. But whether it's with money, financially, or with time, doing that without expecting anything in return, eventually things just start to come to you. So it's very important, at least for me, to be kind with my money and my time, because the more that I give, I tend to see that I get double or triple in return.
Yes. Thank you so much. And so guys, I did this because I want you to understand that the fruit of the Spirit is not just a fun scripture. It's not just an encouraging word. All of this fruit it applies to each and every area of your life. Have you ever thought about how kindness impacts your finances? It does. It does. I got a testimony back there, honey. Yes. It truly does. It truly does. So you've heard all of these different fruit here. I want you to think about, as you're going through your day, everyone, you should have the fruit listed on your chairs here, but take it with you and think about how these different fruits apply to different areas of your life, because this is the right way. This is the right way to go about life, okay? So whenever you're faced with something, you can look at this and say, well, what does love look like in this situation? What does joy look like in this situation? What does self-control? How can I apply some self-control right now, you know? So that is what I wanted to accomplish with this here. So I hope you all got a lot out of it, because I certainly did, listening to all of you. Going to turn it over to Cecily, because now it's time for some giveaway.
And again, a round of applause for this woman right here. We're Now, you mentioned earlier about the fruit, and I'm just going to take this moment because, interviewing is what I do. Hey, mama! So you mentioned about how fruit really applies, and this is what we're all hearing. You guys may have noticed as you were taking a look around that she has the fruit. Did you happen to take a look and read about the fruit? So if you did, we're going to take a moment, just a second. I love grapes. How many of you guys love grapes? Right? When you think about the grapes, Jalyn, what does that mean when we're thinking about the fruit of our spirit?
Yes, certainly. So I have associated grapes with the fruit of love, right? And the reason is because grapes represent abundance. They represent prosperity. They represent, fellowship and community as well. Whenever there's a social gathering and there's that little fruit plate, that fruit platter, you got some grapes on there, right? Everybody loves grapes. But I associated grapes with love. In addition to that, I associate grapes with love because they come in clusters. You can't just eat one grape. There are a few grapes in a cluster, in a bunch that you eat. And with love, there are so many aspects to love. The Bible clearly lays out what love is. Love is patient, kind. It is not easily angered. It endures all things. It stays hopeful. So love is clustered. There are a few things that make up this concept of love. So just as you get a cluster of grapes, there are so many things that are associated with love, and you can pick one off to apply to each situation in your life.
And what about the cherry?
Oh, the cherry. So the cherry, I have associated the cherry with kindness. Okay, anybody ever heard pretty pleased with a cherry on top? Yes. I have associated cherry with kindness, okay? And when you bite into the cherry is known as a stone fruit. It's called a stone fruit. It's got a hard core, right? And so you can't just, yes, a pit, thank you. So you can't just bite right into the cherry, you might break your tooth. But that pit is really, really important. It reminds me that at our core, we've got kindness inside of us, and when we let that kindness out, when we share that kindness with others, it makes the world a better place.
So that's what we have here. If you have not had a chance to take a look at that back here, thank you for sharing that and pouring that into us. We appreciate that. So all of you probably have your book in hand. We have a couple of giveaways, a few giveaways here. Thank you to our Woman of the Hour. We're going to give away another copy of the fruit of your spirit. Now you all have your copy, but this you can give in love and kindness to someone else, right? Okay, so we're gonna pull a ticket. You got your raffles ready? Okay.